Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 15 of House of Cure presents Doc Talk. Today is the 25th of July, which is a very special day, and we'll let you know why. We have with us Dr. Aditi Trivedi. She's the Chief Fertility Consultant at Dr. Trivedi's Total Healthcare and Akar IVF Center. So, Dr. Trivedi, please let us know what is so special about 25th of July.
First of all, thank you so much for having me here today. Today it's a very special day as worldwide it is celebrated as World IVF Day. Now today was the date on 25th of July, way back in 1978, when the first human IVF baby was born. Her name is Louise Brown. She was born in England with the efforts of Dr. Steptoe and Dr. Edwards. And since then, IVF so far has helped countless of couples to overcome the infertility issues.
Amazing. So why do you think it is so important to address this topic of infertility? It's absolutely understandable. I mean, a lot of parents have been trying for kids, and there's a lot of struggle involved in that process. But why do you think that it's so important to address this issue?
It is extremely important because 1 in every 4th couple in the reproductive age group worldwide is finding difficult to get pregnant. So many years back, it was always a big taboo discussing about infertility. It was always discussed behind closed doors. But the scenario has changed completely over the last 2 decades. It is no longer a social stigma. If a couple is having difficulty in getting pregnant, they do come forward to seek treatment or to find out the cause, what is causing infertility. Okay. So yeah, that has really changed in the last few years.
Dr. Trivedi, what is infertility for those of us who don't really have a clue about the medical field, the very general population? What is infertility and what can be the causes of infertility?
So basically, infertility is inability to get pregnant when a couple is keeping natural unprotected relation for a period of more than a year and they're not able to conceive. That is when the term infertility is come across. Okay. So what happens is, especially in patients whose age is more than 35 years, they need not wait for a year. They should seek treatment, as even if after trying for 6 months, if you're not able to get pregnant naturally, they should visit a gynecologist and find out the cause, what is causing infertility. Now, for coming to the causes, it is very important to know that usually in our society, if there is infertility, the females are always blamed. That if there is some problem, it has to be female. It is not so. In fact, male factor contributes to more than 40 to 50% of the cases of infertility. So whenever a couple comes to us, we have to evaluate them as a whole. So what all evaluation we need to do before, to find out the cause of infertility. I'll just explain you in half a minute how a normal process of pregnancy occurs. Okay. Sure. So this is the model of a uterus. So this is a uterus. These are the 2 fallopian tubes and these are the 2 ovaries. So every month, a single egg develops in either of the ovary. And usually in the mid-cycle, say around day 14 of the cycle, it ruptures. The process is called as an ovulation. Now that egg goes and settles into the fallopian tube. Now at that time, when the couple keeps relation, and if the sperm count and motility is normal, the sperm will travel all the way up here. It will go and enter the fallopian tube. It will fertilize the egg. And this fertilized egg will settle in the uterus after 5 days and a pregnancy will occur. So now when a couple comes to us who are having difficulty in getting pregnant, what all we will evaluate? First of all, in a male, we would like to see we would advise them to get a semen analysis done. So we would want to see what is the semen count, what is the motility, how many abnormal looking sperms we are seeing. So depending upon that, we have to advise them further treatment. Now on female, apart from sonography, what is most important thing is to evaluate their ovarian reserve. Ovarian reserve is basically a female's egg giving capacity. Now, every female is born with a certain number of eggs at birth. As age increases, that reserve keeps on decreasing. So at what stage they are coming to us, what is the egg giving capacity, what is the egg reserve of the female, it is very important to plan further treatment. and a basic pelvic ultrasound in which we see whether the uterus is normal, whether the ovaries are looking normal, whether the ovaries are looking polycystic. Now, in polycystic ovaries, like I said, the process of ovulation, which is the rupture of the egg, doesn't occur. So if that doesn't occur, the pregnancy won't occur. So we need to rule that out. The most important thing is to rule out whether the tubes are functioning well. Now, whenever the tubes are functioning, then only a pregnancy can occur naturally.
Correct.
Okay.
Right.
So what we can do is there are many ways to know that. We can do an X-ray in which it's an OPD procedure. We inject a dye from below and we take out an X-ray to see whether the dye has come out from both the tubes. Or we can even do a sonography, which is called as a saline infusion sonography, which is again an OPD procedure through which we can come to know whether the tubes are open. Or the last resort is we can do an OPD procedure. It is a one-day procedure, which is called as a laparoscopy, a mini laparoscopy, where with a very small incision, we insert a laparoscope into the abdomen. We inject a dye from below. We see whether the dye is filling well from both the tubes. And if it's filling well, it indicates that the tubes are patent.
Right.
Okay, so depending upon this, the further treatment will be planned. Now, when everything is normal, say if the egg reserve is normal, the tubes are patent, the semen analysis is normal, at that time, we should first advise patient to keep a planned intercourse. Now, I'm not talking about the Insta viewers or those who are well-read. There's so many couples, they don't even know when is the exact fertile period.
I absolutely agree. Yeah, the people who are exposed to the right kind of information hardly form about, say, 1 or 2% of the total population. Rest, nobody's actually aware of. They're really completely dependent on WhatsApp University and what videos they're getting for their knowledge. So they aren't really exposed.
Yeah. So first, we need to let them know when exactly is a fertile period, when they have to keep relation in order to get pregnant. Now, like I said, even in PCOS patient where they are not ovulating well, they may need the help of certain medications which may help in achieving ovulation, that is the rupture of the eggs, and then they can plan planned intercourse and get pregnant. So now, when all of that does not work, that is the time when further treatment would be required. So there are many options.
Okay. Yeah. When you said further treatment, the only thing that comes to my head as somebody who's not exposed to this side of the medical field is IVF. Does everybody, first of all, what is IVF? And does everybody, is that the only option that exists, in such situations?
That is one of the big misconceptions which I would like to address, that whenever a couple is not able to conceive, there's so many people giving them advices, and the first advice is, no, you're not able to get pregnant, you're married since 5 to 6 years, you will require IVF.
Yeah.
So IVF is not the only option. Like I said, if everything is normal with the couple, we can try simple form of treatment, which is known as assisted techniques of reproduction. In one of them, treatment is IUI. IUI means intrauterine insemination. Now that is completely different from IVF. In IUI, what we do, we combine it with superovulation. Superovulation means now in natural cycle, one egg develops and it ruptures and settles in the tube.
Right.
Now in IUI, we give certain injections, which are usually natural hormones which are released in the body. We give it in the injection form. So more than one egg develops. So what happens is the chance of pregnancy increases.
Unnaturally more.
So when eggs are ready, we give injection for the rupture of those eggs. And then what we do is we take the husband's semen sample, we process it into the lab. So what happens? It energizes the sperm, it improves the motility, it removes the all unwanted particle, and that good semen sample, we insert it through a very small catheter. We insert it up to here. So when you keep natural relation, the semen sample is deposited here in the vagina. The sperms have to travel all the way back to here and then go into the tube to fertilize the egg. In IUI, what we do is we deposit the semen sample right up to here.
Right up to there. So naturally, it is going to be...
So the distance the sperm have to travel decreases and there are more than one egg. So obviously the chances of pregnancy increases. Now, in which couples would IUI help in achieving a pregnancy? Now, there are so many couples who come with a problem. They have a problem in keeping a relation. there can be premature ejaculation, or there may be some performance anxiety, because when we ask them, okay, on this particular day, you have to keep relation, there is performance anxiety and they are not able to keep relation, or
No,
there is
yeah,
some
yeah.
lack of privacy. There's so many,
There can be
conditions.
there's so many factors involved in it. The science that you are giving them, plus the emotional, physical, and social
Exactly.
surrounding that they're in.
Believe me that there are so many couples who come to us even after 6-7 years of marriage, they have not consummated their marriage because of some female factor. The female may be experiencing a lot of pain or a fear, or there may be some social factor which we are not able to consummate the marriage.
Right.
And there is family pressure that, when is she getting pregnant? So in such cases, IUI can help. Thirdly, if the male factor infertility, that means the semen count is less or the motility of the sperms are less. So like I said, we process the semen sample in the lab, we energize the sperms, and we remove the all unwanted particle. And this sample, when we insert it, it increases the chances of conception. Thirdly, if there's a long distance relation, like, there's so many patients whose husbands are working in merchant navy or army, or they are living abroad, they are not able to spend time together. So in those patients, what we do is we freeze the semen sample. So what we can do is we can use that frozen semen sample. If the female partner is here, she can seek treatment, and we can use that semen sample, do an IUI, and she can get pregnant. Okay. Or if there is unexplained infertility, like I said, if the patient have kept timely intercourse since a long time, since 4-5 months, and they're not achieving pregnancy, then IUI would be the next step. Or if the AMH is low, which is AMH, like I said, we do a blood test in which we come to know what is the egg reserve of the woman, which is known as the anti-Mullerian hormone. If it's on a lower side, then you would want them to get pregnant as soon as possible. You would not waste time in, asking them to keep natural relation, or, so we would like to get them pregnant as soon as possible. So in that patients, we can try at least, 2 to 3 cycles of IUI. And if that doesn't work, then the next option would be IVF.
Now, that would explain what IUI is basically, which sounds like a much more simpler, much more non-invasive procedure. What about IVF, the one that more people have been exposed to? What is IVF and who is it indicated for then? Because IUI seems to solve a lot of problems.
Yeah. See, success rate with IUI is still 15 to 18%. And with good patient selection, especially in patients where everything else is normal, the count is normal or the egg reserve is normal, and that it may go up to 20 to 30% with good stimulation. Okay. Now, what is IVF? IVF is basically in vitro fertilization, where the fertilization is happening outside the body. So here we give injections, so multiple egg develops in the ovaries. Now this eggs we retrieve under general anesthesia. And in the lab, we take the husband's semen sample and we inseminate, that is, we keep the eggs and the sperms together, and the fertilization happens in a petri dish inside the lab, and an embryo develops. That is called IVF. Now there's another terminology called as ICSI. ICSI means intracytoplasmic sperm injection. Okay. In that, what we do is, if the sperm count is very less, or if the motility is very low, and there are a lot of abnormal looking sperms. So what we do, under very high magnification, under the microscope, we select the most normal looking sperm, and we pick up that sperm and we inject it with using microneedles inside the egg for fertilization to happen. Now this fertilized eggs are cultured in the lab over next 3 to 5 days, and when the embryos develop, we insert those, transfer those embryos inside
back into the woman's body.
And that is why it is in vitro fertilization, because fertilization is happening outside the body.
And the chances of fertilization in IVF are naturally higher than IUI. Is that correct?
See, IUI, the chances of pregnancy is around, like I said, is 15 to 20%. In a very good selection of cases, it may even go up to 30%. IVF, till science it has proved, it will go up to 40 to 50%. Now, there are many, centers for marketing gimmicks. They will promote that your IVF success rate at 80%, 100%. But there is a lot of, it all depends upon the age.
Okay.
Higher the age group of the female partner, thus IVF success rate decreases. But in general, the IVF success rate ranges between 40 to 50%. Now, it
Right.
all
So
depends
I
upon
believe,
the patient selection.
okay, it all depends on the patient's
Patient
condition and
selection and
health and
especially the female
patient
partner's
selection.
age, the egg reserve. That is the most important factor, because the lower the egg reserve, we will get very few eggs to fertilize,
Right.
and the chances of conception decreases. Okay. So now, in what patients I would recommend an IVF instead of IUI. Okay. Now, when there is a tubal blockage, when the tubes are blocked, the natural process of conception or IUI won't work. In those
Correct.
cases, we have to go for IVF. Or if there is severe male factor infertility, in the sense the count is extremely low, less than 5 million count, very poor motility, or some patients even have absent sperm inside the semen sample, which is the term is called as an azoospermia. So in those patients also can have genetically their own child, in which what we do is we retrieve the sperms from their testis under anesthesia, and we use those sperms and we inject it by the process of ICSI into the egg for fertilization to happen, and then they can have the genetically owned child. Or if the ovarian reserve is extremely less, like I said, the AMH value is very, very low. If it is less than 1.5, some patients may
Mm-hmm.
have very low reserve, even less than 0.5. In those cases, IVF is the preferred choice of treatment, because we want them to get pregnant as soon as possible. Or if there is unexplained infertility, the patients have tried everything. They have tried natural intercourse, they have tried 5 to 6 cycles of IUI, and still a pregnancy is not happening. Then the last resort would be IVF. Some patients may not be able to carry the pregnancy, like some are born with an absent uterus, or they may be having some medical condition in which it is very high risk for them to get pregnant. So in
Right.
such cases, they have to opt for surrogacy. So in that case, to have the genetically own child, we use the husband's sperm and the female's egg. We make
And a
an embryo
surrogate
and we
mother.
transfer it into a surrogate mother. Or this is also new, like because of the advanced technology, some patients may be having history of having genetically abnormal children, like Down syndrome or some other
Oh, okay.
genetic abnormality in
Yeah,
baby.
when you know in your
You don't
family
want
there have been a history
so
of.
you don't want in your future offspring. So what we can do is we can do IVF. We test those embryos for the genetic testing. We take the biopsy of the embryos and send it for genetic testing, and we transfer only those embryos which are genetically normal. So so you can rule
Oh,
out
that
any
is very
genetic
interesting.
abnormality.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And now in this today's day and age, there's a lot of thing of social freezing. So those couples who have frozen their embryos in the past, or female who have frozen their eggs in the past and who want to achieve pregnancy in the future, they can use IVF, and we can use the frozen eggs, fertilize them, and then transfer them to achieve a pregnancy.
Okay. Wow, this has been superb. Like there's so much information here that I had no clue about.
Yes.
What about
Yes.
what is like? So I believe that no uh, chances of pregnancy is 100%, right? I mean, so IUI you said it's at 22 to say 30 max. IVF
Yeah.
goes a little higher, but the
Yeah.
only way to make sure that the couple achieves pregnancy is to make sure that you're living a healthy lifestyle and that you're doing it within the right age range. Is that correct?
Correct. So age is very important. So my message to all the young girls, see, everyone wants to keep a career right now, forefront, which is very good. Freeze your eggs if you're not planning to get married soon, or if you want to delay pregnancy. Because the sooner you freeze your eggs, say by the age of 32 years, the egg quality will be good, will be able to freeze more number of eggs, and which you can use in future whenever they want to use. Especially even in males, there's a lot of pollution going on. The lifestyle is bad. People are smoking, hookah, everything affects your sperm count. So if we are planning a pregnancy, and it has shown that those who are fathers who are smoking, or those who are smokers, the sperm count is very bad, or even it may affect the baby as well, the growth of the baby as well. Pregnancy born out of in patients who are having smokers. So
Right.
in such
Okay.
patients, I would advise you stop smoking, stop hookah, and freeze the semen sample as well. If the count is good, if motility is good, you freeze your semen sample, which you can use it in future. Okay.
Okay. This has been a great chat. We
Yeah.
have like a few myths that I think revolve around IVF and pregnancy. So
Okay.
I'm just going to go ahead and ask you a few of these, and you can just,
Okay.
reply in whatever you think. So,
Okay.
after IVF, a lot of women must be thinking, oh, if I take IVF, I need to I need bed rest for like a month, 2 months, 3 months, and my time is gonna go. So, what's the mystery around that? Do you need like bed rest after IVF?
Absolutely not. Only on the day of embryo transfer, we ask them to rest it out. And after that, they can resume their normal activities. It is like any other normal pregnancy. You don't require long term of bed rest. You can work. We have so many IVF patients who are working throughout their pregnancies. So
Yeah.
absolutely,
Okay.
bed rest is not required.
That's amazing. Also, since IVF unfortunately is not considered the normal way of pregnancy, a lot of people still think twice before IVF. They wonder like, oh, will the IVF baby be normal? What's your take on that?
They are as normal as babies born through natural conception or babies born through IUI. Absolutely, there is no increased risk of any congenital anomalies or any birth defects in the babies born through IVF. In fact, the baby who was born through IVF, the first IVF baby, Louis Brown, she has conceived naturally. So they have this misconception also: if my baby is born through IVF, he or she will also require
Right,
IVF.
right,
So
right,
that is
right.
not the case.
Okay. What about, of course, I think you've answered it. Does IVF guarantee 100% result? But I think you've already answered our question that it's about a 40% range.
Cumulative pregnancy rate may also go up to 50 to 60% because now there is what we have called as a science of cryopreservation. That means when we are stimulating the ovaries, we are getting more than a few number of oocytes. We may get sometimes 10, we may get 12. We are not going to transfer all 12 embryos at a time.
Right.
We transfer maximum 2 embryos. Now the rest of the embryos, we can freeze them and we can use it in future use. So even if one cycle fails, you have the rest of the embryos in your bank, which you can use, and you need
You
not
can
go through the
always use
entire
them.
process of IVF again. You just have to use those frozen embryos, transfer them again. So the cumulative success rate increases to even 50 to 60%. But that again, I said, it depends upon the egg reserve and the age of the patient. So if the egg reserve is less, we may get just 2 or 3 embryos, or
Correct.
like
No,
in
I,
normal
I get
cases,
your
we
point.
get
Yeah.
15 embryos. So we can
So
make
you
15
basically get
embryos.
more chances there. You get more
Yes,
chances there.
yes.
Now you
Yes.
said that every time you would at least put 2 embryos, like inseminate 2 embryos in the mother's womb. Does that mean that the chances of having twins increase in IVF?
A very excellent question. See, what happens is if we transfer 2 embryos, it's not 100% guarantee that both the embryos will implant. Usually one embryo will get implanted, or sometimes in 15% cases, both the embryos may get implanted and a twin pregnancy can occur. But in such situation, when you are very clear that you don't want a twin pregnancy, what you can offer is for a single embryo transfer. That is your choice as a couple, that if you don't want multiple pregnancy, you opt for a single embryo transfer, then the chance of twins doesn't occur.
Okay. And what about, since IVF is, say, slightly invasive, the entire procedure, I'm sure there are a lot of worries like, oh, it's going to be a foreign body that's going to be placed in me. So what are the chances, like carcinogenic potential of these IVF injections? So is there any
Not
kind of cancer risk that people face?
Not at all. See, these are the hormones which are normally secreted in your body. Okay. The injections which we are giving, the FSH or the HMG injections which we use for IVF stimulation, these are hormones naturally secreted in your body. We are just giving in a higher dosage. So we get more than more number of follicles grow. So they're absolutely safe. It doesn't increases the chance of cancer. So don't, if that is the fear in your mind, one should not, you should seek IVF treatment if it is required. It should not come in your way of fear.
So I think this has been a pretty great chat. Is there any kind of last message or some kind of a take home that you have for our viewers?
See, my only take home message would be that don't delay treatment, because as soon as the age plays a very important factor in when it comes to IVF or in case of any infertility issue. So if you're facing any kind of a problem, you go and seek advice, you consult your gynecologist. Those young girls who want to delay pregnancy or want to delay marriage, at least get your ovaries tested. So if your ovarian reserve is good, well enough, but if it is little bit on a lower side, at least get your eggs frozen. So in future, you don't have a problem in conceiving. And I'm very happy that no longer IVF is discussed as a taboo topic. People
Yeah.
are discussing it so freely. There's so much of information for couples who are seeking treatment, be it Instagram, be it Google, be it any website. So yes, the things are changing. It is revolutionary, and I think it is advancing more and more. Science is advancing so much. There are more and more technologies even coming in the field of IVF, and it will definitely, we are just trying to increase the success rate of IVF, and science is advancing on that path. So hopefully someday, we are not God, but someday we would at least achieve if 90 or 99% of success rate with IVF, if not 100%.
Right. But so that's the dream of
Yes,
every
yes.
fertility
That's what
consultant.
IVF consultants would try to work on, and achieve as much higher pregnancy rates and get our patients pregnant.
That's amazing. I think a very insightful chat. We covered a lot of great topics, and there's a lot of knowledge that I am taking home actually from this. So I'm sure like our viewers will take home a lot of good information, and they can reach out to you whenever they can. We'll be tagging you and the hospital in
Definitely.
in the video and the description itself.
So there are a lot of videos and a lot of information on our Instagram page as well. So if someone want to know further about different procedures, we have put up videos and a lot of information on Instagram page, so they can view our page as well.
That's great. I think that's the whole point of Doc Talk, is to educate the general population about topics that might not be that openly discussed, and they might be, the knowledge they must have received is through WhatsApp University, or unfortunately, through very old cultural beliefs. And that's what Doc Talk is trying to do, is to provide this kind of information to as many people as possible. So thank you, Dr. Aditi. This has been an amazing chat. And
thank you so much for doing an amazing job.
Thank you. I hope you acquire your dream of reaching the 99% pregnancy.
Hopefully someday, yes.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you.
On World IVF Day, that is what we aim for.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much.